Hello, and thank you for taking the time to learn about the Forever Freedom Program today. It's only through the voice and hearts of people like you and I that we're able to make a powerful impact on the world. And so, this is what drives us. The Forever Freedom Program is founded on a single powerful premise that true, lasting freedom for those in prison is not a change in circumstance, but a change in self. It is an inside-out process that begins with mastering the internal world of one's thoughts, emotions, and identity, which then creates the power to build a new external reality, empowered through entrepreneurial independence. So here's the roadmap for our conversation. First, we'll start with the why, our mission, and who we're here to serve. Then we'll talk about the problem they face and the incredible opportunity we have to help change that. Next, I'll walk you through the blueprint, how the Forever Freedom Program works. And after that, I'll share our plan to not just launch this, but to create a lasting impact. And finally, the most important part, how you can join us in writing a new story. So let's get started. Now, before we dive into the program, I just want to take a moment to introduce myself so you know who you're on this journey with. My name is Matt Vosberg, and I'm the founder of the Forever Freedom Program. On paper, my story is that of an entrepreneur and a marketing guy. I've been in that world for over 25 years now. That started back in the mid-90s, and for the last 2 decades, I've worked in the software industry with some of the most successful entrepreneurs and leaders, helping thousands of small business owners to get organized and grow. But that's just what I do. Who I am is a husband to my wife Kristen for nearly 20 years now, and a dad to our 4 amazing homeschooled kids right here in Santan Valley, Arizona. So you might be asking, what is a marketing guy? What is this dad doing with a program for prisoners? Well, the answer is simple. Over all these years, I've seen that many of the tools that it takes to build a successful business are the exact same tools it takes to build a successful life. It's about having a clear purpose, a solid plan, and the discipline to see it through. I realized that my true mission wasn't just to help people make more money. It was to help people build lives of genuine freedom and independence. And I believe with everything in me that the most fertile ground for that mission is in our prisons. My own personal story is also well acquainted with the struggles of addiction and arrest, but I'll save those stories for another time. This program, Forever Freedom, is the culmination of my life's work. It's designed with the exact blueprint I've seen work time and time again. Now, I'm not here as some expert on a pedestal. I'm here as a guide who is fully committed to helping people write a new, powerful story for their lives. With that, let me tell you about the day I met Rich. It was back around 2010, and I was closing up my family's bike shop for the night. The door opened and a man walked in, or rather shuffled in. He was so hunched over from heroin withdrawals he could barely stand up straight. He had a messy, bright red mohawk, scabs on his face, and his clothes were filthy. He didn't ask me for a handout. He asked me for work. Just a little money to get something to eat and pay for a new ID because his had been stolen. Honestly, I was a little skeptical. I told him the shop was closing, but to come back in the morning. I gave him a few dollars for food, fully believing I would never see him again. But when I pulled up to the shop the next morning, he was there, sitting on the curb, waiting. He spent hours that day doing any task I could find, cleaning up landscaping, moving boxes. He didn't complain. He just worked. And he told me why he needed that ID so badly. He needed to get a job at the day labor place. My skepticism started to fade, replaced by a little flicker of respect for Rich. I took him to lunch. We went to get his ID at the DMV. I paid a few bucks for it, and we just spent the rest of the day talking. That was the beginning of Rich's climb. For weeks, his life was a brutal routine. He slept behind a dumpster in the alley next to my store. He'd wake up at 4 a.m. to be the first in line for a chance at a day labor gig. The days he didn't get work, he'd stop by the shop to see if I had anything for him and to catch up. His drive was undeniable. You could see it. He was fighting. And finally, he got a break. A part-time job at Taco Bell. We saw less of him after that, but we would hear about his progress from time to time. Then, several months later, a man walked into the shop. He was standing tall, wearing clean business attire, with a fresh haircut. For a second, I didn't recognize him. But it was Rich. He hadn't just been getting by, he was really beginning to thrive. He'd been promoted from part-time to full-time, to assistant manager and to manager, and now he was up for a regional role managing multiple locations. That was the turning point that led to everything else. With that stability, he started rebuilding his life. He asked me and others to write letters to the court. We did, and he was finally granted the right to see his kids again. He met Sarah, a wonderful woman, and they got married. He became a father figure to her son and a constant positive force in his own children's lives. But he didn't stop there. He became a leader in an addiction recovery program, mentoring others who were in the same dark place he had once been. He even started his own business, printing inspirational messages on beautiful photos, a business with a heart to help others find their own freedom. Now, Rich passed away in 2023. At his funeral, the church was standing room only. Hundreds of people, family, friends, people he'd mentored, people from his church, were all there to honor the man who had touched their lives so deeply. From a homeless addict sleeping behind a dumpster to a beloved leader who left a legacy of hope, that was Rich's journey. So the question is, what made the difference for Rich? He was fueled by an incredible motivation, the hope of seeing his kids and of having a family again. But motivation alone isn't enough. It was the combination of that deep internal drive with small external acts of trust and tangible support that created the opening that he needed: a job, a ride to the DMV, a letter to the judge. But here's the crucial part. Rich had to guess his way through most of his recovery. He was fighting with pure grit and instinct. He didn't have a map, a structured support network, or a system to guide him and keep him accountable, but he succeeded against all odds. However, the path was infinitely harder than it needed to be. This is why we created Forever Freedom. We've taken from core principles that make transformations like Rich's possible and built them into a repeatable system. We don't leave recovery to chance. And so, where Rich had to find his own motivation, we provide a system for building identity and confidence. We help men find their why, their reason to fight, and give them tools to track their progress, reinforcing that internal strength daily. And where Rich had to guess at the next steps, Forever Freedom provides a clear process and system. We offer a roadmap for rebuilding a life, covering everything from financial stability to relational health. And where Rich had to rely on chance encounters for support, we provide a structured network. We build in the accountability, the encouragement, and the guidance that he had to find on his own. Now, Rich's story shows what is possible. Forever Freedom is our plan to make that possibility a probability for the countless men who are just one system away from their own transformation. We can help many more to have a story like Rich. It's so very possible and so urgently necessary. Here's why. Let me introduce you now to Andre. He's a fictional, but also very real person representing a large number of inmates today. He's 32 years old, a father, husband, and a brother, and he's a prison inmate in the state of Arizona. Like so many men and women in our correctional system, Andre's story is one of immense potential, derailed by a cycle of trauma, substance abuse, and a lack of viable opportunities. He grew up below the poverty line, and he's been in and out of facilities since he was a teenager, and his release is just a few months away. Now, if we do nothing, his story is already written. According to Arizona State's own data, he faces a 29.1% chance of returning to prison within 3 years. That's nearly a 1 in 3 chance that his hope for a new beginning will end right back where it started. He also faces a 27% unemployment rate, and the crushing weight of supervision fees, plus the magnetic pull of old habits. Even if he manages to find a job, it's often low wage with little hope for advancement, making it nearly impossible to build a life of stability, let alone provide security for his family. So, what is at the core of the problem? Well, we believe it has to do with an outdated operating system. Here's what that means. Traditional reentry programs often focus on the external. Find a job, find housing, check all the boxes. They treat the symptoms, but the root of the problem is internal. And the core challenge is that the system, by its very nature, cultivates an identity of powerlessness. It teaches individuals to be managed, to be controlled, and to react. When they're released, they're handed back the keys to their life, but they've been given little to no training on how to drive it. They're running an outdated operating system, one built on a self-identity of inmate or failure. We expect them to produce a new, successful life, while facing a job market designed to reject them. Ultimately, this is a setup for failure. Now, while the state of Arizona has made progress in reducing recidivism, the latest figures show that of the 29.1% who return, more than half are sent back, not for new felonies, but for technical violations. This revolving door is funded by taxpayers to the tune of $226.3 million a year, a staggering cost for managing preventable setbacks instead of investing in permanent success. This is the great travesty we're facing today. It's a travesty for Andre, for his family, for our communities, and obviously for the state, which is pouring hundreds of millions into a model that just doesn't seem to work. The question isn't if we can do better. The question is, how do we finally decide to rewrite this story? The Forever Freedom Program is a comprehensive, four-pillar framework designed specifically for incarcerated individuals. It focuses on internal transformation as the foundation for lasting freedom, emphasizing mastery of mindset, emotional regulation, and identity redefinition. Participants learn to build a new internal reality that fuels external success, transitioning from past limitations to personal sovereignty. And the program also guides participants in developing entrepreneurial independence by creating practical business skills and systems for sustainable self-sufficiency. This science-based, step-by-step approach ensures participants not only envision freedom, but actively create and sustain it in their lives. We are installing a new internal operating system, one of purpose, self-governance, strategic action, and ultimately, true independence. This isn't just about preventing a return to prison, it's about creating a permanent pathway to a life of contribution and meaning. And here's the new story we can write together. The current reality is one in which Andre feels defined by his worst days. He lacks a sense of purpose and believes his future is capped by his past. He sees a world of closed doors where good employment and income feel permanently out of reach. In the Forever Freedom Program, we guide Andre to dismantle that old identity and forge a new one of creator, father, leader, entrepreneur through a structured process grounded in neuroplasticity. We give him the tools to master his inner world. He learns to control his thoughts and emotions, breaking the cycle of reactive, self-destructive behavior. We give him the tools to build unshakable self-confidence. Our 28-day challenge in the middle of the program challenges him and provides him with undeniable proof that he's in control of his actions and capable of profound change. We also help him to create true economic independence. The modern job market is often a closed door for someone with Andre's past. We don't just prepare him to knock on that door, we show him how to build his own. We demystify entrepreneurship, guiding him to turn his skills, even those forged in hardship, into a service that creates independent income. This is the essential path to success, allowing him to bypass systemic barriers and build a foundation for true generational security and abundance for his family. What about the community? Well, recidivism is not a victimless problem. It creates a ripple effect of crime, broken homes, and generational poverty that erodes the safety and vitality of our neighborhoods. The societal cost of incarceration is estimated to be 10 times greater than the direct cost to the state. So in the Forever Freedom program, every graduate of our program is a direct investment in community well-being. This means safer streets. A man with a purpose and a plan to build his own business is a man who is no longer a threat to his community. He's too busy building. It means stronger families. Andre becomes the father and husband that his family needs, breaking the cycle of generational incarceration and trauma for his children. And economic growth. Andre stops being a drain on public resources and starts becoming a contributor. He becomes a local entrepreneur who builds wealth, serves his neighbors, and creates a legacy of opportunity that can break the cycle of poverty for his children. And let's not forget the benefit to the state of Arizona. The state is caught in a fiscally unsustainable loop. Spending $226.3 million to manage failure is not a public strategy, it's a budget crisis. The current model yields a terrible return on taxpayer dollars. But in the Forever Freedom program, we offer a data-driven, fiscally prudent alternative. There's an astounding ROI. National studies prove that for every dollar invested in correctional education and training, taxpayers save $4 to $5 in reduced reincarceration costs. Targeted savings. By implementing our program, we can directly reduce that $226.3 million annual expenditure on supervision violators, freeing up those funds for proactive investment. Of course, shifting to a performance model, we're moving from a system that pays to house failure to one that invests in creating success. This is not just a social program. It's a human capital investment strategy that produces self-sufficient citizens, safer communities, and a stronger economy at a lower cost to the taxpayer. The entire Forever Freedom framework is built upon 4 core pillars. These pillars provide a logical progression, moving from deep internal discovery to tangible external creation. They're adapted from the foundational principles of purpose, mindset, planning, and action that have proven effective in systematic personal change. Each pillar builds upon the last, creating a comprehensive architecture for transformation. Pillar 1, forging your core, your purpose and identity. This is the bedrock of the entire program. Before any action can be sustained, one must have a powerful reason to act. This pillar is dedicated to the deep work of discovering who you are at your core and why you are here. It moves beyond temporary motivation to establish an enduring sense of purpose that can serve as an anchor in the inevitable storms of change. It's about defining a compelling future and a new identity that's strong enough to pull the participant forward away from the gravity of their past. Now, Pillar 2, mastering your mind, emotional and cognitive control. With a foundation of purpose established, this pillar provides the practical tools for self-governance. It is focused on developing the ability to observe, manage, and direct one's own thoughts and emotions rather than being controlled by them. Participants learn to break the cycle of reactive behavior driven by triggers and automatic negative thoughts. This pillar equips them with the cognitive and emotional skills necessary to maintain their internal state regardless of external circumstances, which is the essence of true mental resilience. Pillar 3, building your world, strategic action and habits. This pillar is where the internal work of the first 2 pillars is translated into concrete, real-world results. It combines the concepts of strategic planning and consistent action into a unified whole. It is about moving beyond hope and intention to the disciplined implementation of daily habits and routines. Participants learn to design their environment, pre-plan responses to challenges, and build unstoppable momentum through small, consistent actions. This pillar is about actively constructing a new reality one day at a time. Pillar 4, owning your future, entrepreneurship and independence. This is the capstone pillar of the Forever Freedom program, designed to create true and lasting independence. It builds upon the self-confidence, discipline, and resilience developed in the first three pillars and provides a practical pathway to financial self-sufficiency. This pillar demystifies entrepreneurship, breaking it down into foundational, accessible steps. It guides participants in identifying their unique value, creating a simple, service-based business, and taking the first critical steps toward generating their own income, thereby achieving a level of freedom that is both economic and psychological. The transformative potential of the Forever Freedom program is not based on motivation or willpower alone. It is grounded in the practical science of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the brain's remarkable ability to reorganize itself by forming new neural connections throughout life. This program is, at its core, a structured process for intentionally directing that change. It provides the tools to actively rewire your brain. Every thought, feeling, and action creates an electrical impulse that travels along the pathways of neurons in the brain. When a behavior is repeated, the same neural pathway is activated repeatedly. Over time, this strengthens the connection, much like how constant traffic can upgrade a dirt road into a paved street and eventually into a multi-lane highway. For individuals in this program, old destructive habits and negative thought patterns are like deeply entrenched highways in the brain. They are the default, easy routes for mental traffic to flow. The goal of this program is to build new highways. The process of rewiring is achieved through two key mechanisms taught throughout the curriculum. 1. Focused attention and repetition. By consciously choosing to focus on a new thought or perform a new action, such as a daily meditation practice or a gratitude exercise, participants begin to forge new neural pathways. Initially, these pathways are weak, like faint trails in a forest. But with consistent practice and repetition, these trails become well-worn paths and eventually the new default highways. The more the new positive behavior is practiced, the stronger its corresponding neural network becomes, making the new behavior easier and more automatic over time. And the second mechanism in the curriculum is cognitive reappraisal and relabeling. A critical component of this program is teaching participants to create a psychological distance from their automatic, unhelpful thoughts and urges. Drawing on established neurological methods, this program teaches individuals to relabel these internal experiences not as me or the truth, but as deceptive brain messages or brain glitches. When a powerful craving or a wave of hopelessness arises, the participant learns to step back and say, "This is not me. This is just my brain running an old, unhelpful program." This simple act of relabeling and reattributing the thought to its true source, a misfiring of old neural circuits, is profoundly empowering. This scientific understanding shifts the participant's role from being a passive victim of their own neurology to becoming an active operator of their brain. The brain is presented as a complex but understandable piece of biological hardware. The destructive impulses, cravings, and emotional histories that once felt overwhelming, defining aspects of their character, they're now reframed as technical problems, old software that can be uninstalled and replaced. This perspective demystifies the process of change, reduces the shame, and instills a deep sense of agency. It provides the foundational belief that I can learn to operate this machine differently, which is the cornerstone of the self-confidence and control that Forever Freedom aims to build. Now let's take a look at the program syllabus. The program consists of 4 sections with 24 modules, ideally completed over 12 months. The time between sessions is critical, as it allows participants to actively practice the new mindsets and routines, turning the concepts from the workshops into real-world habits. Each of the 4 sections builds logically on the last, guiding the group from foundational inner work to the practical application of building an independent life and enterprise. So let's start by looking at Section 1. In this first section, the Freedom Command Center, we lay the essential groundwork for transformation by focusing on the inner self. This is where participants move from a past-defined identity to one they consciously choose for their future. We guide them in discovering their core purpose, or true north, and provide them with the mental and emotional tools needed for self-regulation. This constitutes the deep internal work required for lasting change. It adapts and focuses the most potent psychological tools to guide participants through the process of dismantling old, limiting identities and systematically constructing new ones from the ground up. The core of this module is the powerful mindset shift from an inmate or addict or failure identity to a creator in training, a leader in training, or disciplined person in training kind of identity. This is not just a change in language, it's a fundamental change in self-perception. It reframes the participant's entire experience from one of struggle against a flawed self to one of learning and progress toward a new, chosen self. As the bedrock of Pillar 1, this first section is about defining a compelling future and a new identity and mindset that is strong enough to pull the participant forward, away from the gravity of their past. This is the foundational work of building the Freedom Command Center, a well-governed inner world from which all external success will flow. So that was Section 1. Now let's dive into Section 2. This part of the Forever Freedom program is dedicated to execution. It is the bridge between the internal world of purpose and mindset and the external world of tangible results. The philosophy here is that success is not the result of one grand action, but the sum of small, consistent actions taken every single day over time. This is where the new neural pathways will begin to form and strengthen. This section is all about building momentum through disciplined practice. Participants will learn to strategically design their environment for success, build an arsenal of positive responses to overcome personal roadblocks, and establish a consistent daily rhythm for morning, midday, and evening. This all culminates in a 28-day Freedom Challenge, an intensive period designed to build unshakable proof of their ability to create lasting, positive change through consistent effort. This is where the internal shifts forged in Section 1 are hammered into the shape of a new reality through structured planning, environmental design, and relentless daily practice. Again, the philosophy here is that success is not the result of one grand action, but the sum of small, consistent actions taken every single day over time. From Section 2, we move into Section 3. This pivotal part of our Forever Freedom program marks the transition from internal mastery to external application. It's designed to take the self-discipline, resilience, and confidence forged in the first three pillars and channel them into the creation of tangible, real-world independence. This pillar is heavily influenced by the Conquer the Chaos philosophy, which teaches that a business should serve your life, not consume it. It's about building systems that create freedom. And furthermore, it recognizes that AI is not just a challenge to the old job market, but a powerful tool for the new entrepreneur. This pillar will show how anyone can leverage simple AI tools to automate tasks, work smarter, and compete effectively, creating even more time to enjoy the freedom they've earned. For a population facing significant barriers to traditional employment, entrepreneurship is not a luxury. It's a powerful and direct path to self-sufficiency and a renewed sense of dignity. This pillar demystifies the world of business, breaking it down into foundational, confidence-building steps that are accessible to individuals like Andre, who are starting with little more than their newly honed skills and a transformed mindset. From here, we move into Section 4. Finally, in this section, Launch, Lead, and Sustain, we bring everything together to ensure long-term success. This is the capstone, where participants learn to own their value, price their services with confidence, and officially launch their enterprise with the support of a practical workshop. Crucially, we establish the systems for ongoing growth, including mentorship through our Circle of Power and a living curriculum of content and resources to navigate future challenges. The program concludes with graduation, where participants celebrate their transformation and leave with a personal support team in place to sustain their freedom for life. A key element in this section is that it recognizes that permanent change is best achieved not in isolation, but within a community of support, accountability, and continued learning. This final step ensures that the principles of support and accountability are not just features of the Forever Freedom program, but are skills that participants carry with them for the rest of their lives, creating a permanent network of strength that will help them navigate future challenges and continue their journey of growth and independence. This aligns with the wisdom from established resources that consistently highlight entrepreneurship and strong support systems for prisoners as a key component of any successful plan for personal change. This also aligns with the data. As published in an article in Forbes, according to new data at the Association for Enterprise Opportunity, formerly incarcerated individuals are more than twice as likely to become entrepreneurs than their never incarcerated peers. An estimated 3.5 million U.S. business owners, 10.6% of all entrepreneurs, have spent time behind bars. And these business owners not only rebuild their own lives, they create jobs for others, employing more than 2 million people nationwide. And according to AEO, returning citizen entrepreneurs earn 11% more than formerly incarcerated individuals in traditional jobs, and they experience 33% lower recidivism rates. So now let's go back to Andre. With our help, his story doesn't end with him becoming another statistic. It ends with him standing in front of a thriving business he built from the ground up, creating security for his family. It ends with him coaching his son's Little League team. It ends with him becoming a mentor in his community, showing others the path he walked. So Andre's new reality, well, he wakes up with purpose, not dread. His day starts with the morning launch routine. Instead of reacting to the day, he proactively sets his intention, grounded in his new identity as a father, a creator, and a leader. He owns a business, not just a job. And Andre is no longer dependent on a job market that holds his past against him. He's the owner of Andre's Yard Care, turning his reliability and hard work into a source of independent income and pride. And Andre manages his mind, not the other way around. When faced with stress or a potential conflict, he doesn't react with old, destructive habits. He uses the ABC hack and other tools from his mental toolkit to remain calm, centered, and in control of his actions. He's a present father and husband. He's no longer a source of stress and uncertainty for his family. He's a stable, reliable presence who's coaching his son's Little League team and building a foundation of security for his children's future. He's a community asset, not a state liability. Andre's now a taxpayer, a local business owner, and a contributor to his community's economy. The cycle of draining public resources is broken. He has a board of directors for his life. He's intentionally built his own freedom network, a small circle of trusted mentors and peers who provide support and accountability, ensuring he stays on track. He's building generational abundance. His focus has shifted from mere survival to creating a legacy. By building his own business, he's creating a pathway to wealth and opportunity that he can pass down to his children, permanently breaking the cycle of poverty. That is the story we can write, a story of redemption, resilience, and a return on investment, a story of forever freedom for this generation and the next. This isn't a dream. This is the direct, predictable outcome of a system designed for success. We have the blueprint. Now we need to build it. Entrepreneurship, it's a vehicle for transformation. The fundamentals of an entrepreneurial character become the foundation for a healthy, judgment-free community, a second chance community in which a person can belong regardless of whether a person was incarcerated. And here's our plan to make it happen. The first step is a focused, data-driven pilot. The goal of this pilot is simple and strategic. We want to prove the model and implement the full Forever Freedom Blueprint with 2 initial cohorts over 14 months and meticulously document the process. We'll also gather irrefutable data to track participant progress, skill acquisition, and the initial impact on their lives upon release. We'll also create champions to develop the powerful, undeniable success stories that will serve as the foundation for securing larger institutional and state-level partnerships. This pilot is the essential first step to building a self-sustaining engine for change. So what does it take to turn this vision into a reality? To launch the pilot program that will serve as the foundation for everything that follows, we've identified a total required investment of $340,000. I want to be very transparent about how we arrived at this number because every single dollar has a specific and strategic purpose. This isn't just a budget, it's a blueprint for impact. Now, the largest portion, as you can see, is allocated to employee compensation. This is the most critical investment we will make because the program's success hinges on having dedicated, high-caliber people on the ground. This allows for a full-time program director and 2 part-time facilitators who can give their undivided attention to our program and the participants, ensuring the curriculum is delivered with excellence and that every participant gets the focused support they need to succeed. Next is the program development and materials. We're committed to providing a professional, tangible, and effective toolkit for transformation. This investment covers the design and printing of all the workbooks, trackers, and facilitator guides you've seen. It also funds the development of the online resource portal to support graduates long after they've completed the program. Third, we have a business operations and administrative cost. This is the essential foundation for building a trustworthy and sustainable organization. This covers the necessary legal work to establish our nonprofit status, as well as professional accounting and insurance. It ensures we are excellent stewards of every dollar from day one. Finally, and this is incredibly important, we have a fund for participant support and contingency. We know from experience that sometimes the biggest obstacle to a new life isn't a grand challenge, it's a small, practical barrier. It's the cost of a bus pass to get an appointment or the fee for a new ID. This fund allows us to remove those small, frustrating roadblocks that could otherwise derail someone's progress. It also provides a prudent contingency for any unforeseen expenses. As you can see, this $340,000 investment is a complete, thoughtfully constructed plan to launch a data-driven pilot that will change lives and prove a new model for success. This is the investment that builds the engine. I want to be very clear. Our goal is to build a program that does not depend on donations forever. This seed funding is the catalyst to start a powerful economic flywheel. Phase 1 is donor support. Your foundational support allows us to run the pilot and gather the data to prove our impact. Phase 2, institutional revenue, will leverage that proof to secure paid licenses with correctional facilities and other nonprofits using the established, data-backed per-participant cost models of successful national programs. And in Phase 3, with diversified revenue, as we build a network of successful graduates, we'll launch our premium coaching services and innovative income share agreements, creating high-margin revenue that reduces our reliance on grants. Your investment today is the catalyst that gets this entire self-sustaining engine moving. So that is our vision, a strategic, sustainable engine for transformation. But as with any powerful engine, it needs a spark to get started. And that's why I'm sharing here today. This mission is bigger than any one person, and we cannot do it alone. So, how can you join us in writing this new story? Well, to bring this life to vision, we need your help. And I have 3 very specific asks for 3 groups of people who I know are in this room today. First, To the funders, the philanthropists, the individuals and organizations with the capacity to invest in meaningful change, I'm seeking foundational partners to help us reach our initial goal of $340,000. This isn't just a donation. It is the seed capital that allows us to launch the pilot, prove this model, and unlock the future phases of self-sustainability. Your investment is the critical first step in this entire journey. Second, to the institutional and community leaders, those of you who run facilities, manage nonprofits, or lead community programs, I'm seeking pilot partners. We have the program, but we need the place and the people to prove its power. We're looking for partners who will open their doors and allow us to bring the Forever Freedom program to the men you serve. And finally, to the influencers, connectors, and the driven and gritty change makers, you're the people who know everyone and are driven to make great things happen. Your voice and your talents carry weight, and your network and experience is your power. I'm asking you to become our champions, to share this story, make introductions, connect us with the funders and the institutional leaders you know. Are you willing to offer your assistance or services? Let's talk. Your advocacy is the fuel that will accelerate this entire mission. Whether it's through funding, partnership, or your voice, each of you has a vital role to play. We're standing at the beginning of a new chapter, and we're asking you to help us write it. The story of Andre and thousands like him does not have to end in recidivism. It does not have to be a story of wasted potential and broken families. We have the opportunity right now to write a new story. A story of purpose, of contribution, and of true, lasting freedom. The kind of freedom my friend Rich shared with so many others through his own liberation. This is more than a program. It's a movement, and it starts here with us. So thank you so much for your time and for your consideration today. My contact information is here on the screen, so please reach out. Let's schedule a conversation and talk about how together we can write that new story. Thank you.